Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. In this video, we are going to talk about what makes a good helicopter pilot. I'll break this down into what are the actual physical and mental skills that you have to be a quote-unquote good pilot. But then I'm going to compare some of the people that I've met in the industry, one of the best pilots I've ever met and one of the worst pilots I've ever met that have gone on the professional trajectory to become a pilot and what made them a good or a bad pilot. So we'll talk about the physical skills and then actually performing as a pilot, what it takes to be a good pilot. Let's get into it. All right, so the actual skills of becoming a helicopter pilot, in all honesty, the actual stick flying skills, it's not that hard to learn. It is like any other skill. It's like riding a bike, driving a manual car. Obviously a touch more than that, but really it's not that hard. It is just about time and repetition. The amount of time that you sit in the helicopter seat and you have your hand on the cyclic and the pedals and you're working with an instructor, over time, pretty much everyone gets good at this. When I was an instructor, I would say 99% of the people I taught were able to become a pilot and they were able to pick up the skills. There was maybe one or two people across the entire time I was a flight instructor where I sat them down and I was like, hey, I do not believe this is for you. I don't think you can do this. That was I think that happened once. So it's extremely rare. Pretty much anyone can do the physical skills. It is not that hard, it's just repetition. But I would say the biggest flaw that I have seen with people's ability to become a helicopter pilot is their humbleness and their willingness to learn. People that want to become helicopter pilots, there's typically two breeds. There's people that want to do it and they think they can do it and they're the best, and then there's people that are humble and willing to learn and understand the gravity of flying a helicopter. If you are that first class of person where you're like, I got this, I can do anything I want, if you are not humble, this industry will chew you up and spit you out, and a helicopter will chew you up and spit you out. It is very dangerous to not be humble in this industry. So you have to have a willingness to learn, to understand that you're not the best. On the other hand, and this is the column that I fit into, and it served me pretty good, and the students that I taught, it served them pretty good. If you understand the gravity that you are flying a helicopter and you do not know everything, when you get your private, your commercial, your CFI, that is a license to learn and you can go learn, but you do not know anything and you are still at an extremely dangerous point, and your entire anytime you're flying a helicopter is a dangerous point. So if you understand and you're humble and you're willing to learn, those are the biggest character traits for literally just being a pilot. The stick skills are not hard, but if you're humble and you're willing to understand the gravity of the situation and learn, then you're going to be a fine pilot. And so how this actually lays out in the industry, I will lay down in my experience the worst pilot I've ever met and the best pilot I've ever met. Both of these people were able to pass all of the check rides. They were able to pass their private, their commercial, their CFI. The stick skills they were able to do. Pretty much anyone can do the stick skills, the knowledge skills. They understood all the knowledge skills. There's not that much hard concepts to grasp. They are new concepts and they are weird, and there is some understanding that you have to get, but none of the concepts are really that technically difficult. Even instrument flying, it's not that technically difficult. Aerodynamics, it's not that technically difficult. If you've never done this, I had never done this before, it was challenging because I've never done it. But once you wrap your head around it, it's not like you have to be like a brainiac to understand these things. But both of these pilots, the best pilot I've ever seen and the worst, they were able to pass the check ride. So if you think you're not smart enough, don't worry about that. You will learn as long as you're humble and you're willing to put in the effort. You can learn. But the worst pilot I've ever met, this was at the very start of my career, and to the main point I made in the opening point about this is this pilot was extremely unhumble, or whatever the opposite of humble is. He was so arrogant, so cocky, so self-confident, which is important, and don't get me wrong, there is a degree of confidence that you have to have as a pilot, but this guy was just so rude and arrogant and thought that he knew everything and that he was the best pilot to grace the earth. And I'll give him the benefit of the doubt that he was like a decent stick skill. Like he did have good stick skills and he could wiggle the helicopter, but I would never send my family in that helicopter with him because he thinks that he has enough skill and enough brains and enough smarts to get himself in and out of every situation. He thinks the helicopter can't do anything wrong. He thinks he can't do anything wrong. And so he is such a dangerous pilot. And I'm not the only one who sees this. Multiple other people see this, and in the industry your name follows you. So if you just think that you're the best and you carry yourself with like an undue amount of confidence and just cockiness and arrogance and think that you can do anything in a helicopter, that will come to bite you extremely hard. And not just that you could be in an accident or a crash, but it is just really a turnoff for people in the industry, and your name in the industry means a lot. On the other hand, the best pilot I've ever met, same thing. He was able to pass all of the check rides. He was fine. I mean, his knowledge was pretty good, and he was a smart guy. You don't necessarily have to be a smart person, a super smart person to do it, but very smart. But it's just the way he carried himself. He had a sense of confidence to him, but extremely humble, extremely self-aware, and called himself out when he did something wrong. Versus the worst pilot I've ever met, I don't think I ever heard him say that I messed that up or I did something wrong or that's on me, that's my bad. This guy, confident, knew what he was talking about, but when he got something wrong, he was like, I'm wrong about this. When he had new information, he called himself on that, constantly learning. But just there's this borderline between like being confident because you have put a lot of work into this, but not being cocky and arrogant. And that guy has gone so far in the industry, and I look up to him as a pilot. He is extremely inspirational, but it's just the way you carry yourself. So the point of this video is becoming a helicopter pilot, and what makes a good helicopter pilot. It's really not the stick skills. I mean, you put any amount of effort and time into that helicopter pilot seat, and you do read the books, like if you put like the bare minimum effort into it, you're going to be fine. You can do the stick skills. But what really makes a good pilot versus a bad pilot is your character and your attitude. And I can't say it more emphatically, but it is how you carry yourself, how you walk, how you talk, how you act. If you think you're above everyone else and that like you're literally, if you're in a group of pilots and you're like, I am the best pilot, that's scary because all pilots think they're good pilots. But if you really think that you're better than everyone else, you got to check yourself, and that is going to get you hurt, and that is going to ruin your name. But if you walk into a group of pilots and like you're fun and you're energetic and you see others as your equals and you can learn stuff from them, that will get you extremely far. So there you go. Those are my thoughts. Stick skills, anyone can do it. I really, that is like the smaller point, and that is actually a pretty small point. It is all about personalities and characters. One of the greatest quotes I ever heard from one of my first bosses in this industry was, I can teach anybody to wiggle sticks. I can teach any monkey to wiggle sticks how I want them to do. And that's true. Like utility, long line, helicopter, air ambulance, flight instructing, tours. You can teach any pilot to wiggle sticks a certain type of way for a certain type of operation. But what you cannot teach is a personality, and what you cannot teach is an attitude and humbleness and how to carry yourself. If you bring those traits into the pilot world, you're going to go far. If you bring cocky, arrogant, I'm a helicopter pilot and I'm the best in this room, man, you're gonna have a tough time. So there you go. Those are the traits that make a good helicopter pilot. If you want to see how to study in flight school, here's a video. Check it out either here or here. Those are the best proven study tricks that I have found that really helped me in flight school. So go check that video out, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.